Well, looky here. Turns out we are in a recession after all. Just like I predicted. Just like I predicted many months ago. Not many months ago in May. And then I changed my mind yesterday, thinking there's no way they're going to show a recession for Q2. And lo and behold, they did. I'm shocked. I'm not all that shocked. I'm shocked they showed it. I would have thought the imports that we read about yesterday from the Commerce Department would have nipped a recession in the bud, but apparently not. So let's see what we got here. Um, let's see. The first estimate of Q2 GDP from the BEA, Bureau of Economic Analysis, came in at 0.9%, far below the 0.5% positive consensus forecast. But right on top of the line is negative 1.2 tractor. All right. And while this is an improvement from Q1, negative 1.6, it was the second consecutive quarter of declining GDP, which is a recession. Regardless of what Sniffy Joe and all those clowns want to say, it's freaking idiotic, man. Anyway, so there we are. We are in a recession. All right. I want to see, and yes, there is a tweet for that. Only in typical Biden fashion, it was upside down. All right. So here comes Biden. I helped pull this country out of recession before, and as president, I'll do it again. Okay. I helped pull this. I want to see imports, because that was a thing that, digging in the data, decreases in inventory, investment, housing, federal government spending. All right, I'd like to see decreases in government spending. Exports, and see this, I just don't understand how exports and consumer spending increase. Well, I get how consumer spending increased because that's inflation, but how the hell did exports increase? Imports, they did increase. Okay, there we go. So imports, which are a subtraction against the calculation of GDP, did increase. I was going to say, there's no way. What is this about, dude? I mean, what are these showing up there with all these people showing their boobies? I don't want that crap. How do I get rid of that? Anyway, I don't like that. Wow, chicks, don't do that to yourself, man. You're demeaning yourself by showing boobies. Like, look at this chick. You know what she's doing. Stupid. All right, so the increase in imports reflected an increase in services led by travel. The increase in exports reflected an increase in both goods led by supplies and materials and services led by travel. I don't get it, man. The increase in consumer spending reflected an increase in services led by food services. That makes sense. Quantifying the Q2 change, we find that personal consumption rose just 1% after 1.8% the previous quarter. Unfortunately, this is just the start of absent stimulus. All right, the U.S. consumer long ago tapped out. As percent GDP, personal consumption rose. The change in private inventory subtracted. Government consumption continued to be a drag. But that will change now that Manchin is pushing for the deficit reduction package. They're going to reduce the deficit by spending more money we have. That makes sense. All right. It was all a quick look that sharply lowered the 1% increase in personal spending. Is all driven by services. Yeah. Smaller data. Okay. Probably a better gauge of underlying growth is look at the consumption alone. Consumer spending surged mid 2020 to mid 2021. Growth in the latter half of 2021 ran at 2%. We have downshift from that. So they're going to say, well, we're in a recession because they raised the interest rates. So that's what they're going to say. They didn't raise the interest rate. That's just the whole thing. I can't take it, man. Personal savings decline. All right. Anyway, so we have recession. It means the political push back is about to go into overdrive, starting with Biden's speech in a few hours where he desperately tries to convince America that, according to a new improved definition of recession, all right, whatever, I could care less what Biden says, that the labor market remains tight, and that isn't viewed as inflationary. It's not as tight as what these people think. Remember, this is all hindsight. Forward, I'm just telling you, I see it in my emails. Now, is that anecdotal? Sure. So here's a guy from Schwab. Today's announcements concerning reflects weaknesses in the stock market and outlook for corporate profit margins. The U.S. economy and stock market both struggled in the first half of 2022. I'm going to look at, in a different video, I'm going to look at what government bonds have done since everyone is like freaking out. All right, so let's, there we are. Let me see what they say over at EPI, big lefties. Right here, the EPI, they don't think we're in a recession. The economy has slowed substantially, and aggressive action by the Fed to slow growth in the name of taming inflation is very unlikely to be necessary. The consequence of additional rate hikes would be highly damaging, but they're not highly damaging to people who aren't borrowing. including increased unemployment. These people are so caught up in freaking 80s. It's like 1980s called their Heidi and the EPI. They want their Volcker worship back. In other words, all the economists and experts who 1 year ago said inflation was transitory again agree. This is not a recession because of the strong labor market, except it literally is a recession. Well, that is until the strong labor market it turns south, and it's not because Powell. It's because they don't want to take on debt, and they're being stressed with the cost of energy, and they're saying, I can't afford the goods to keep the company running, so I'm going to lay people off. All right. Anyway, so there we go. Let's see. In the end, the Biden non-recession is purely a political concept, as the NBER business cycle dating committee. He says, so check this out. National Bureau of Economic Researchers Business Cycle Dating Committee, Robert Hall. I don't think the two-quarter idea has any merit. We had never heard that in the history of mankind, literally until the last couple of weeks. Oh, boy. What he meant is that the two-quarter idea has no merit for a politician I approve of, and this is in the White House. Yeah, let's see what they're saying over the conservative treehouse, because you know me, I'm huge. This is where I get my economics. For now on, you got to go I guess he hasn't talked about it yet. All right, we'll come back to what Sundance. This is the guy you got to read for economics. Let's see what. We're gonna go to ftportfolios.com. Let's see what my man Brian Westbury's talking about here. First Trust Portfolios. Okay, I love Brian Westbury. I completely disagree on his take on what solves recessions and what solves and causes inflation. But that's okay. How dare I disagree? Let's see. Well, they haven't done a video yet. All right, so am I first to the punch? All right, so we are in a recession, and I was wrong. We are in a recession. All right, does that literally, has that literally, oh my goodness. I mean, literally, if they said it wasn't a recession, does that make it any better? No, the economy's crapshoot because of the freaking cost of energy. It's that simple. All right, we'll see ya.